Can you imagine finding yourself face to face with hell, trapped in a fiery abyss in the coldest place on earth? What if I told you an extraordinary woman experienced just that and emerged forever changed? Welcome, lovers of the unknown and adventure. Today we won't tell you a simple story, but an epic tale of courage and survival that defies all logic. Prepare to be catapulted into the wildest Antarctica on a breathtaking journey that will take you from the freezing cold of the surface to the suffocating heat of the Earth's heart. We are about to discover the story of Rosaly Lopes, a volcano geologist who faced fate sinking into an active volcano and fighting tooth and nail to climb back out of a hellish abyss. A story that will keep you on the edge of your seat, showing you the indomitable strength of the human spirit in the face of the primordial power of nature. Antarctica, a continent of ice and wind, where life struggles to thrive and the cold bites the bones. A place of merciless beauty, where nature reigns supreme and man is but a fragile guest. But beneath that white blanket, mysteries pulsate far older than the ice itself. It is here, in this frozen desert, that we find active volcanoes, silent witnesses to an indomitable energy boiling in the earth's depths. Imagine yourself there, your breath condensing into clouds of steam, the silence broken only by the whistling wind and perhaps the distant rumble of an unstoppable force. This is the setting where our story comes to life, a stage for a drama that could have had a tragic ending. Rosaly Lopes was no ordinary woman. She was a world renowned volcanologist, a scientist who had dedicated her life to studying these fiery giants. She was no stranger to danger. She had climbed smoking craters and observed rivers of incandescent lava up close. But not all her experience could have prepared her for what was about to happen that day. His expedition in Antarctica was focused on one of the continent's least explored volcanoes, a sleeping giant that held important secrets about our planet's geology. The team was approaching a steam fissure, a crucial point of interest for their observations. The air was thick with sulfur, a pungent metallic smell that burned the nostrils. Visibility was precarious due to the fumes and the freezing fog that enveloped the area. As Rosalie bent down to take a sample, the ground beneath her gave way. There was no warning, just a sudden crack and the deafening roar of shattering rock. One moment she was on solid ground, the next she was plummeting into a black hole, a screaming abyss that swallowed her mercilessly. Time slowed, turning into an eternity. The icy wind that had accompanied her this far was replaced by a wave of unbearable heat, the air thick and unbreathable, laden with toxic gases. The sound of the collapse echoed, and then silence, broken only by her labored breathing and the deep rumbling of the volcano. She landed on a narrow rock ledge hundreds of meters below the surface. The pain was excruciating, a broken arm, several cracked ribs, but alive, miraculously alive. Below her, the red-orange glow of magma pulsed ominously, a seething pool of molten rock radiating hellish heat. Sulphurous gases burned her throat and lungs, clouding her vision. Every breath was a struggle, every movement agonizing. In that moment, the science that had brought her here vanished, giving way to the primal instinct of survival. The realization of her situation was chilling, trapped in a volcanic pit, surrounded by lethal fumes and heat that could roast her alive, with the outside world, cold and inhospitable, hundreds of meters above her. The team on the surface was in a panic, screams, desperate attempts to call her, but only the echo answered. They had lost radio contact, they knew she had fallen, but they didn't know where or if she was still alive. They began a race against time to organize rescue operations, knowing that every minute spent there was a minute less hope. But Rosalie couldn't wait. She knew the toxic gases would soon take their toll. Her mind, despite the pain and fear, was clear. She looked at the rock face above her. It seemed impossible, smooth, sometimes crumbly. But volcanology had taught her the tenacity of rocks and her own tenacity. With her good arm she began to grasp. Every tiny ledge, every crevice became a vital handhold. The cold of the rock scratching her fingers was a momentary relief from the oppressive heat. The fumes were taking her breath away, making her cough and her vision grow dim. She had to climb, and she had to do it quickly. Despair was a burden, but the will to live was stronger. He imagined the faces of his colleagues, his family. He couldn't give up, not here, not like this. The rumbling of the volcano seemed to grow closer, more threatening, a constant reminder of the end that awaited him if he failed. Every inch gained was a victory, every muscle burned a sacrifice. Time stretched, minutes felt like hours. His hands were shredded, his nails broken, his body a sea of sharp pain. But he continued, one step at a time, a desperate climb toward the light, toward breathable air. The temperature gradually changed, the unbearable heat giving way to a warmth, then a damp cold. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, he saw a brighter glow. It was the surface, the freezing Antarctic salvation. With a final, desperate effort, she managed to reach the edge. She was exhausted, her body trembling, but she was out. Her colleagues, who had meanwhile managed to lower ropes, pulled her up the last few meters. When she resurfaced, She was an almost unrecognizable figure, covered in soot, bruised, her face distorted by fatigue and fear, but she was alive. His recovery was long and difficult. Physically, he bore the scars of that accident for a long time. But it was mentally that the experience affected her most, and in a profound and transformative way. Rosalie Lopes not only survived but returned to her quest with a new perspective, a deeper understanding of the fragility of life and the terrifying majesty of our planet. His story is not just a tale of survival, but a testament to incredible human resilience, to the willpower that pushes us to overcome even the most insurmountable obstacles, even when we have fallen into the beating heart of hell. Rosalie Lopez's story reminds us that true adventure isn't found only in the pages of books, but in real life, in the most remote and dangerous corners of our world. It's a tribute to human determination, the thirst for knowledge that drives us to explore the unknown, and the ability to find strength even when all seems lost. If this incredible story has fascinated you, don't miss our next video on other science heroes.